Shurooq, an artist and creator from QEii, and she's going to talk about escaping censorship. So let's give her a warm welcome. It's getting late in the day, so.
Hi, everyone. So I've come from Kuwait. Okay, so I'm going to talk about escaping censorship and how basically I use NFTs as the ultimate utility, which is to escape censorship from where I come from. In 2012, I had a solo art show in Kuwait City called It's a Man's World that exposed the moral and religious hypocrisies in my society. And this exhibition, after 3 hours, was shut down by the Secret Service and the police. We had 5 people come in from the Ministry of Information, the police, and the Secret Service. They physically threw people out of the gallery. They physically threw paintings off the walls onto the floor. They confiscated the artwork. And I was taken to a back room, interrogated, and I was investigated for 6 months with the threat of jail. Now, the only thing I was worried about at the time was what's going to happen to my kids if I go to jail. That was the only thought in my head. And then after that, I just started exhibiting outside of Kuwait. I refused to exhibit in Kuwait anymore. So for 8 years, I was showing my work abroad. Then I was at the Venice Biennale. An art gallerist saw my work and said, you know, it's such a shame you're not exhibiting in Kuwait anymore. I want to bring you back to Kuwait. I said, okay, but you have to be responsible for what happens. He said, I will. So January 2020, I had another solo show in Kuwait called Like Russian Dolls, We Nest in Previous Selves, which is a line from a Diane Ackerman poem. And again, it talks about the repetition of, the banality and repetition of us, our DNA, and history repeating itself and how we never learn. And again, it was shut down by the Secret Service and the police, and this time I vowed to never, ever, ever show in Kuwait again. I was saved a month later by the pandemic, literally, because then the investigation closed early because the airport shut down and it was COVID. Why was I shut down? What was, you know, what was so scary about what I did? Because I was and am a woman in a man's world calling for inclusion and diversity in a conservative society, which is not what they wanted to hear, not what they wanted me to talk about. Because you know, in my society, even though there's this kind of stereotype of Kuwait being, you know, luxurious and, you know, oil-rich and so on, but underneath it all, there is the reality, which is that the LGBTQ community is illegal there. Gender issues are still very much an issue. We're pretty much still living in the Middle Ages in those senses. So the fear is that one person can have a big impact. And you know, the majority, the masses, they prefer to conform rather than go the route of thinking for themselves. Because, you know, the first time they shut down my show, I was really scared. I was psychologically traumatized. I didn't get out of bed for months. I didn't check my social media or my emails. With time, of course, that changed. But, you know, where does this fear come from? It's because they don't understand. They don't understand that being, like this painting, for example, it's called Painting the Roses Red, This Way Up. You can see the woman, she's got the hijab on, and she's Muslim. She's literally opening the eyes of her son to raise him up to be an open-minded man. And you can see it's a little boy, not a little girl, because it's a patriarchal society, so she needs to raise him up to be, you know, the open-minded person. So on a microcosmic scale, it's saying that a family can raise open-minded children without losing their culture and religion and tradition and language. And on a macrocosmic scale, it's saying that the government can have a society that is open and liberal and inclusive and diverse without losing their religion and losing their culture. So that's what I'm trying to say. But the majority don't see it that way. I'm sorry for that word, but I had to use that word because of all the trolls on the internet that were trolling me. So enter NFT art. It's literally freedom for the oppressed, subjugated people, especially women in the Middle East. And it's something that people don't really think about. I get a lot of DMs from young girls and women that say, my husband won't let me have a job. My father won't let me leave the house. What do I do? So I tell them, get yourself on, get yourself a smart contract, start painting, drawing, whatever it is you are doing, and you can find yourself an outlet that the government cannot access. And that is something that a lot of people don't realize, is that women can become free entrepreneurs, curators, artists, collectors from the privacy of their bedroom in these countries, because a lot of them can't even leave their bedrooms. So the artist becomes entrepreneur, collector, and curator, all those freedoms to escape censorship. Because basically it can't be accessed by the government or tampered with by the governments. So you've got a direct artist to collector path, direct artist to audience path. Not only that, but a lot of these people that message me and ask for some kind of help in this, in their situations, I can't advise them. I'm no expert by any means. I can only speak from my own experience over the last 2 years in the NFT space, and how I discovered NFTs. So, as I said earlier, February 2020, airport shut down. The interrogation closed. So they forgot all about me, focused on COVID. And I was at home like everyone else on the planet. And that's when I discovered Web3, I discovered NFTs. And it was like an aha moment for me, because it was me realizing that, wait a second, there is a new technology for my art where I can actually put my art on the blockchain. It can't be accessed by my government, and I can actually show, women in bikinis, I can show nudity, I can show whatever I want, and that's okay. And so this was really a moment of incredible revolution in my head, revelation and revolution. So as you all know, you've all been here for a couple of days, so the blockchain is the art historian's dream because of the provenance. The smart contract gives us autonomy as creators and artists and women, and the metaverse gives us opportunities. I come from a world where there are no opportunities. I literally had to make my own opportunities growing up. In Kuwait, there was no such thing as art. We don't teach it in academics. It's not taught at the university. It's not a subject you can get a degree in. There's no jobs for it. So for me, I remember asking my dad before he passed away, Baba, what is the Venice Biennale? And he said, oh, that's like the Oscars for artists. And I thought, okay, I'm never going to get there. I did get there, and I was the first Kuwaiti to get into Venice Biennale. But that's because I believed in myself, because no one in my country believed in me. And no one gave me the opportunity to. I had to go out there and find it. So with NFT art, the opportunities are there for people in places I come from where there are no opportunities at all. So what I do is basically socio-political art with a clear message that aims at opening minds and instigating positive change. And in my country, they don't want that, because it is a scary thing for them that the patriarchy might change because of it. When you open minds, you open discussions, people are starting to think, people are starting to talk, and this is very dangerous for the patriarchy. So for me, NFT art, at the end of the day, is my peaceful, uncensorable weapon for freedom and autonomy, and it's how I'm fighting. Well, that's my voice, and I have something to say, and I found that I can say it through NFT art, and that's how I've escaped censorship. I have 30 seconds left. Just in time, made it. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. Thank you.